Hello, friends, and welcome to this Sunday's live streaming service. We are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and here on Zoom. If you're with us on Zoom, welcome. Consider staying afterwards to get a link to our talkback meeting, which is where we talk about the service and have community together. If you also, you can go on Facebook and YouTube. You think I have these memorized by now. You can go on Facebook or YouTube and subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. Today's service is Holy Hands and Smart Butts with Renée Brill. I'll admit, the title's got me intrigued. I'm ready for it. In addition to Sunday services, we have other ways to connect, including Facebook, Instagram, the e-blast for all of your news, and our YouTube channel. If you are needing some pastoral care, if you haven't talked to Deneen yet, what are you waiting for? One by one, a lot of us have, and I have not heard a single negative thing. I've heard all positive. I have positive things to say about her. So if you need to talk, email Deneen at pastoralcare@oakcliffuu.org. And she's also doing 2 weekly Zoom meetings, check-ins and chats, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. and Fridays at 9 p.m. Take advantage. Seriously, she's wonderful. As a reminder, our fall parish meeting is on October 18th at 2 o'clock. Today is the deadline for giving feedback to the board about what you think the church should be focused on this year. You can find the survey in your e-blast or in Talkback. So just click on it and say, this is what I think we should be focusing on this year. Have your voice heard. Youths love having their voice heard. Our online auction fundraiser. If you have something you'd like to donate, or if you'd like to help put it on, organize it, email Donna Leach at auctions@oakcliffuu.org. If you're an artist or a crafter who would like to donate and donate something and receive a percentage of the purchase price, then use the same email, but address it to Nancy Harms. It's not too late to make our haunted forest a success. Look, I'm dressed up as a pirate today to remind you about the haunted forest and about Halloween. I'm kind of jingly, it's fun. Our haunted forest runs every Saturday in October from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. and we need people to help every week. That's setup, tear down, scaring people, doing the tours, all that good stuff. Visit our sign up genius to volunteer. And if you're considering visiting the haunted forest, but we're kind of concerned about safety measures and whatnot, know that there are a lot of safety measures. It is social distancing is enforced, and their masks are required, and they're being really, really safe. I seriously have not taken my kids hardly out, and I'm going to be taking the kids, I think, next weekend. So we're very, very strict about it, but I've been completely assured that it is very, very safe. And you can even go in a small group of just your family, so you don't have to go through the forest with a bunch of people. So go and, enjoy it. Support your church. If you do volunteer for time and talent, please be sure to report your time so that we can turn that into grant money and build up our church a little bit better, right? Go and breeze for that. If you can help financially with the church, please go to oakcliffuu.org/donate. Amazon Smile if you're using Amazon. I Give if you're using anything else online. Our text to give option or the donate button on Facebook. We have a lot of ways to do it. So whichever is just the most convenient for you, just go do that. If you are new here today, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so happy to have you. Consider going to the guest book and filling out that stuff, oakcliffuu.org/guest. Member anniversaries, yay! Oh my gosh, so excited. I love member anniversaries. Okay, we got 3. First 2 come as a pair, but we could not have church without them. We could not have the haunted forest. We could not have our BLM sign. We could not have our audio or our Zoom or anything that we have without them. So happy UUCOC anniversary to Scott and Kathy Gray. Oh my gosh, so exciting. And our next one Also, so exciting. She's my birthday buddy. Happy UUCOC anniversary to Nancy Johnstone. Girl, you joined church right before your birthday. I know you got your birthday coming up real soon. Just like me. I'm waiting. I got a new crown coming in. Maybe I'll wear it next week. Anyway, happy anniversary to the three of you. Church would not be church without you. And happy Sunday to everybody else.
Good morning and welcome to the online services for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. We are so happy to have you with us here this morning. This week, we're going to continue our sermon series on spiritual practices for Unitarian Universalism. This week is body practices. Now, we also have a workbook that you can choose to go along. That's kind of a journal format, but also with some activities if you'd like to work along with this sermon series. That workbook is available at the UUCOC Talkback Facebook group. Now, this week for me has been hard, stressful, anxiety-producing, and all of those words that mean a challenge. This has been the case for a lot of weeks recently, but I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to be here with you too, because being here and being together is a great comfort to me. It's a comfort to me to know that we can share with one another our journey, that we can provide each other insights, and that together we can carve out some small space of peace while still doing the work that we know needs to be done to bring the world into a place of wholeness. We are glad to have you here as we explore the full diversity of what a spiritual life can be and what a spiritual community can be. Thank you, and we look forward to worshiping with you this morning.
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness.
And now in Spanish. Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
The Beauty of the Whole by Meg Barnhouse. We gather to worship, our hearts alive with hope that here we will be truly seen, that here we will be welcomed into the garden of this community, where the simple and the elegant, the fluted and frilled, the shy and the dramatic complement one another and are treasured. May we know that here each contributes in their way to the beauty of the whole. Come, let us worship together. All genders, sexualities, politics, clappers and non-clappers, progressive and conservative. May we root ourselves in the values of this faith: compassion and courage, transcendence, justice, transformation, and love.
Because we love one another, we honor each individual spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance and service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
And now in Spanish. Porque nos amamos unos al otro, oramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y aceptación. Así que hacemos pacto.
When our heart is in a holy place,
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, our joys and sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into each person's life. Knowing that together, we offer comfort. At this time, we invite you to publicly post your sorrows and prayer requests to the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
This Sunday, like every Sunday, we reaffirm our promise to one another. Our promise makes clear the call to celebrate. For that which brings you joy, makes you grateful, brings you peace. We, your sacred community, celebrate. We celebrate together and magnify joy, heighten gratitude, and spread ever-increasing peace. At this time, we invite you to publicly post your joys and prayer requests to the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart of the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I'm on a quest to get out of my head and into my body. This quest started out initially because my mind wasn't a safe place for me to rest. I had experienced significant trauma, and for a while, being alone with my thoughts was exhausting and terrifying and sad. Certain spiritual practices that had previously left me feeling calm, refreshed, and peaceful began leaving me feeling exhausted, drained, defeated. Silent meditation and contemplative prayer had always been a kind of spiritual exercise for me because I was never a person who liked sitting still. So while they didn't come easy, they still gave me that something I needed. But in the early days after I contracted PTSD, I found myself in a space and time of recovery where they didn't give me that anymore. How can I sit quietly and listen to the still small voice within when my inner monologue is filled with a chaotic tangle of shouty, mean bullies? As an introvert, how do I find peace when being alone with my brain is unbearable? I was in a position in my life where I needed to leave behind beloved practices, at least for a little while, and build new spiritual practices. The beautiful, the transcendent, the good, the truthful, the loving peace of surpassing peace is out there somewhere. So with the familiar roads impassable to me, I looked for new roads, for new spiritual practices. I've been focusing more and more since then on embodied spiritual practices where I regularly and intentionally connect with my highest values, using my body as a tool or a medium for learning or for doing. I suspect that these practices are particularly useful for other people like me who have PTSD, depression, or anxiety. My consistent experience with recovery has been that my body is healing my mind. The more focus I give on giving my body what it needs, like healthy food, enough sleep, and exercise, the happier my mind is. I can refocus my mind by reminding myself of where my body is, that it is safe, and that I have what I need for right now. Inspired by that, I've been looking more and more for spiritual practices that have an embodying element to them. Practices like altar work, like yoga, like ritual bathing. I also suspect that the embodied practice is particularly useful for people who, like myself, are haptic learners. Haptic learners are people who learn best by doing or by hands-on learning. As a part of this exploration of embodied spiritual practice, I started learning the scroll saw as a spiritual practice. A scroll saw is a power tool used to create intricate and delicate wood carvings. With patience, practice, and skill, a scroll saw lets a craftsperson cut wood into delicate shapes and patterns that you would normally think only possible in paper cuttings. A scroll saw might be used to create the curving fretwork of a traditional cuckoo clock, or to cut pieces of thin wooden veneer into shapes that form the inlays of flowers and shells in fine furniture. Or it can be used to create puzzles, children's toys, necklaces, or a family favorite, wooden ornaments for our Christmas tree. My grandfather was a scroll saw craftsman for more than 20 years. For as long as I can remember, a visit to my grandparents' house would involve making cookies with my grandmother and sitting next to Papa at his scroll saw. I can hear the mechanical droning of the saw as it combines with the tinny buzzing of the blade cutting through the wood. The smell of the red cherry, tan oak, white birch, and deep brown walnut woods that he favored. I remember staring transfixed at the point where the blade met the wood twisting and turning in a dance of creation under the bright spotlight of Papa's work lamp, while soft billows of sawdust plumed upward into the light like the smoke of incense drifting into the air. My grandfather passed away a few years ago, only months after being diagnosed with brain cancer. Shortly after he passed, I bought myself a cheap saw and set up shop in my garage. So this began as both an embodied creative practice and a kind of mourning practice for me. I started cutting wood because when I do, I feel close to my grandfather, because the smell and the sound and the space just make me feel like he's there with me in the garage. It is a kind of embodied physical knowing of connection, of love, of togetherness that I have not found anywhere else. What I found is that this particular practice is an embodied practice and a creative practice, an intellectual practice, and a kind of spiritual partnership of my grandfather's craft, teaching me my grandfather's wisdom. It's a kind of blend of spiritual practices and forms, a unique mix that has given me rich learning that I'm not sure I could have found any other way. Certainly not through reading a book or watching a movie. I want to talk a bit about what makes this a really special practice for me, and to share some of the insights that it's given to me. I think the start of what makes it special, I've touched on. It feels like a kind of inheritance of wisdom. I feel like I'm using this practice to learn what my grandfather knew, to experience some of the things that he experienced. I feel like I'm learning more about my family and ancestors who were also woodworkers, and through this, where I come from. I feel like I'm learning about what made my grandfather the man that he was. And it's that initial spark of curiosity and of sacredness that this knowledge somehow belongs to me because it belonged to my grandfather. It didn't take me too long after sitting down to practice for the first time to realize that the scroll saw was my grandfather's spiritual practice. It is definitely a kind of embodied meditation. The smell of the wood, the sound of the machine cutting, and the buzzing have a kind of calming and hypnotic effect that reminds you of exactly where you are and brings you into the here and now. And the saw, well, that demands your attention with 100% accountability. When I'm cutting the wood, I have a pattern glued to the top of the wood with cut lines that I try to follow. Sometimes this pattern comes from the giant stack of patterns that my grandfather kept and gave to me, sometimes from places I find on the internet, and a very few that I have tried to make for myself. Now, for as long as that pattern is stuck to the top of the wood, I have a detailed record of exactly every mistake I have made, and exactly every time I have lost focus, and exactly every time that I have panicked and overcorrected. The first lesson of the scroll saw is focus. Focus on here and now. Focus on what you are doing, or you will make a mistake. 100% of the time, the blade is moving. And when it's moving, your eyes need to be on the blade. And if you can't focus, if you need a break, you must stop, and you must stop the blade. This brings me to the second lesson of the scroll saw, which is that you can only work for as long as you can work. There is no point in pushing yourself past the limits of your own abilities, past the exhaustion of your body, through the limits of what is physically doable, because you will make a mistake just about 100% of the time. After a certain period of time, your brain is tired and it's too tired to focus. After a certain period of time, your hands are numb from the vibrations of the machine. Your eyes are strained from trying to squint at a blade that is barely thicker than a human hair. If you want to make something beautiful, you have to respect the limits of your own body. You are not a machine. You are a finite human. That is surely a profound lesson to learn in our lives. Imagine if I lived my life thinking there is nothing to be gained by hurting myself to go farther. That's certainly not the lessons of today's economy. The third thing I learned to respect and understand was the material that I was working with. I think that there's a kind of ethic to working in a material that used to be alive. There's a joke amongst scroll saw artists that mistakes create very expensive firewood. I feel compelled to go slow and to work cautiously because it seems to me like it would be a waste of the material. It feels like a waste of the life of a tree to turn it into something less than beautiful. And different species of wood have different limits. Some are harder than others, and the blade needs to be changed more often so that it cuts accurately. The tightness and direction of the grain of the wood can cause a pattern to shatter and snap along the wood grain, even if it was cut perfectly. There are simply some things that are outside of your control, although you can account for them. Altogether, this is a practice with high accountability at every step up to the completion of the work. The material holds you accountable to the limits of the material. Your body holds you accountable to the limits of your mind and of your body, and your mind holds you accountable to the limits of your focus. And before you peel the pattern off the wood, you'll see a complete record of every mistake you've made, where your skills fall short, and how much you have to improve. And then, when you peel off the pattern, there's a whole other set of lessons to learn. When you peel off the pattern, most of the time, what happens is that all of the mistakes the pattern tells you you've made, they disappear. You can't see them anymore because they're normally not very big mistakes. And you're left looking with something that is normally pretty cool. And it's certainly likely to impress anybody you show it to, because it's not like you could do it yourself if you haven't had time and practice. The entire time I'm working in this craft, the craft is trying to get me to focus and pay attention and improve. But when it's done and there's nothing left I can do to fix my mistakes, all my mistakes disappear the moment that pattern comes off. This has been a really encouraging form of accountability to me. And it's one that I haven't come across very often. Normally, you don't get feedback on your work until it's over and people evaluate your end product, whether you did a good job or a bad job. Like at the end of your year, like at the end of the year performance review, where your boss tells you all the ways you didn't quite measure up. It's a bit of a beating to learn about your mistakes or to not learn about your mistakes until there's nothing really you can do about them. This is the opposite of that. I only see my mistakes while there's still something I can do about it. And when it's over, I get a sense of pride in accomplishment. It's profoundly encouraging, and it makes me want to return again and again to see how much I can learn and how much farther I can push my skills. I wonder what other places I can use this model of accountability and encouragement. One of the most profound things that I've learned is how my grandfather communicated with me through things. Over the years, my grandfather has given me many things that he has made on his scroll saw: pins, necklaces, and a plethora of ornaments for the family Christmas tree. I've always thought of these things as beautiful and as tokens of love. At craft shows, I would often check out other scroll saw artists and compare their work to my grandfather's. But now that I've actually tried the craft for myself, I feel like I know much better what it is that I'm looking at and what he's given me. I know much better how many hours he took to do it, the feeling in my body that he would have had in his while he made it. I know that he was probably thinking about me and how it might delight me and how his family members might enjoy what he has made on his Christmas ornaments. And I also know that he was a bit of a show-off and that he loved to cut difficult patterns that showed just how skilled he was. I couldn't possibly have known what these gifts truly meant before I started learning the scroll saw because I was lacking the knowledge I needed in my body to know what it felt like to focus, to try, to feel the work and do it. I know now the focus that went into them, at least not the kind of I know the focus that went into them, but I could not have learned this without experience. I think my grandfather knew that, and I think that he must have realized that I didn't understand at the time what he was giving me, but he gave it anyway. Practicing his craft has allowed me to look at these things with new eyes, and I suddenly feel wealthy to understand the emotional depth of what they mean. This is what they mean. I think that making something beautiful as a gift, especially, is a kind of prayer. And it's a self-fulfilling prayer that the world become a more beautiful place. Before I was even paying attention, my grandfather filled my house with prayers that my life be beautiful. And I am now learning to make those prayers. This is the wisdom that I have gotten entirely through doing, through experiencing, through teaching my hands to do a new thing. It is one of the many ways that I have discovered that I can use my body as a way of learning and of knowing. What has your body taught you? What have you discovered in your exercise routine or daily walks? If you listen to your body, what would it have to say to you about sitting still, about rest? What would it tell you about your priorities? What would it tell you about what it means to be human and to have a human life in a human body? I invite you to listen. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have say the words and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, fill the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow in the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, there's nothing right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and hope. For we are now the keepers of the dream. To make an offering or your pledge, please go to oakcliffuu.org/donate and follow the links.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
These words from Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by giving. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. May you go forth in peace.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now in Spanish. Encendimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevamos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you.